Errict, thanks for joining us.
Good evening,
we
Errict.
appreciate all the cooperation, and it's truly an honor to have you on here, Errict. But first, a little background again for our folks at home. Tony played at the University of Florida, broke Emmitt Smith's career rushing record while there, played all 4 seasons. In college, MVP of the 1994 Sugar Bowl. Drafted in the 2nd round by Tampa Bay in the 1994 draft. Tony went on to be the Rookie of the Year.
My name is Errict Rhett, not Tony.
Errict. Oh, I'm just talking to my co-host, Tony. I'm sorry, Errict.
No, I'm Tony.
Okay, cool.
All right, we got it? Okay. But Errict played Tony in 7 NFL seasons from 94 to 2000. Again, rookie campaign with Tampa Bay, rushed for over 1,000 yards.
Yes.
But Errict, first of all, again, thanks for coming on. He was an All-American football and wrestler, Tony, at Florida. And but just looking at your career was a fascinating career, Errict. And I just want to ask you first and foremost, because we mentioned Florida before the Florida State game. Maybe you could talk to us maybe about the current state of the football program at Florida. What do you think about Urban Meyer and what it was like playing football in Gainesville?
Oh man, it was fantastic playing football in Gainesville. I mean, it's probably one of the greatest cities to actually live in all of the country. It was just, playing on the Spurrier's offense. It definitely prepared me for that next level. And we actually had a lot of fun. Everybody was actually involved with the offense, and it was just it was just a great feeling to go out there and win. These guys are winning, national championship. It just feels good to know that you helped build that program up to where it is today.
And you sure did. And my question, I first, when it was talking about Florida and everything, Tony, I was going to ask Errict if he had, when he played 4 years at Florida, and you came out of there, Errict, and you had an immediate impact on the NFL. When you came out of Florida, do you think you were totally ready to play NFL football?
Oh, absolutely, because Spurrier's his program as well as his staff, they did everything to prepare you well for that next level. Yeah. It was almost the transition was almost perfect. I actually did not miss a beat at all. It was just a perfect transition.
And Errict, having been a wrestler and a football player, did one sport help you with the other in college?
Well, it actually did. Being a wrestler, that's probably one of the toughest sports there is. Sure. It's 6 minutes of living hell. And what wrestling does, it gives you that balance that you need, And so normally when it comes to blocking, I had to balance. Nobody can just throw me around. As well as when I run the ball, it makes it very difficult because the tackle a wrestler, because he has a lot of balance, and it actually it helped me out. As far as running the football, blocking. Mental toughness, and definitely physical conditioning.
Right. Yeah, I should tell our folks, Errict, I have you listed, Errict, in your playing days, maybe a 5'11", about 210, strong as an ox, Tony. I just remember Errict running the football, and it was a pleasure to watch him play. But it was really pleasurable. And I'll get to some of his other stats as we go along. But you have a question for Errict, Tony?
Yeah, and Errict, good evening. And I'm just curious, when you got to the pros, what was the biggest difference or the biggest differences that you saw in the pro game as opposed to, playing in the college game?
Well, I tell you, as far as being from a standpoint of just the game is a lot faster.
Yeah.
But the one thing that you see from a collegiate level, from a professional level, is that there is no weak links. Unlike, for example, Florida's going to play against Alabama this weekend. Right. You might have, out of the 11 guys on defense, you might have 2 that are really, really strong, maybe pros. But you might have the other 9 that are, they're not weak links, but they're not professional material. Unlike in the NFL, every position, they're all professionals, and guys are no longer playing just for a scholarship and playing to win a game. These guys are actually playing to feed their families, so it's a lot different. The level of competition is definitely there.
You're watching Monday Night Sports Talk on the phone with former NFL running back Errict Rhett. Again, he currently running the Errict Rhett Foundation, Tony, which helps underprivileged youth realize their dreams,
Yes.
going to college and everything. And I told Eric we would mention, you could go to erricrhettfoundation.com to get more information on
website,
things
Eric.
like that. And mercedes-benzraffle.com.
Yes.
You could actually get information. If people could go to mercedes-benzraffle.com, that will support the underprivileged youth, Tony, about them going to
Right.
college, and I hope a lot of people can log on to that. But back to your NFL days, Eric, I want to tell you that the shelf life of NFL running backs is not long. You
Not a long
probably
time.
played 7 years, which is probably a little longer than the current average. How banged up can these guys get, Eric?
Well, you can actually get banged up, but you would not really feel the major effects from football until probably about 9 to 10 years out of the game. That's when a lot of the things start kicking in, like the knee and the hip problems and the migraine headaches. But actually when you're done playing, you're still trying to get back in the league, because once you get out of that game, you're in a hurry. You just want to get back, because you're like a fish out of water. You don't know what to do. You miss the locker room feeling. So, for the first 2 or 3 years, you usually spend those times trying to think, maybe I should play again. Maybe I should go back and continue working out. So, but it's about the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th year, you start feeling those little aches and bruises, and you get out of bed a little slowly. But I'm very fortunate that my body has did me very well over the years, and besides the one foot injury that ended my career, I haven't had any major pains, not too many. And I have migraines now and then, but besides that, no kind of body aches and stuff. Not too many lately.
Well, that's good to hear, Eric, because the game has become so violent. The guys have become faster and bigger, and you look at the injury reports every week, and it's brutally long. We read about, Eric, guys that are the former running backs that are disabled, and we can get into a little bit of that, how they're struggling. But I also, one of the stats that stood out to me when I was looking at your career stats was you played 7 years and you only fumbled the ball 7 times. Was that something you really took pride in, Eric?
You know what? I don't think that's a correct stat right there. I don't. No, that's not a correct. I think I probably had about 3 fumbles in my career.
Okay.
That's everything, including college and everything.
Which is, I thought 7 was really good, but if
I don't. Yeah, that's college, high school,
well, maybe,
and the pro.
maybe it is. All right, I'm gonna put a little asterisk there. That's his whole football career, but I just thought it was fascinating.
I know I went for. Yeah, I hadn't fumbled the ball since maybe 91 and 1 in 95, 1 in 96, and I fumbled 3 times in the NFL, and I believe I fumbled maybe twice, and 3 times, maybe 2 or 3 times in college. 3 times in college. I believe maybe 1 time in high school or so. But I never, that's something I always practiced was ball security. I guess I had a very demanding coach in high school that was just, oh my God, you fumble that ball. This was like, oh my goodness. He would probably snatch you off the field by your helmet. So, I always anticipate getting hit before the linebackers and knowing when the guys are going to try to strip the ball. But the guys in practice, the guys that play on the scout team, they should really prepare you for the game by trying to strip the ball all the time. So that should help you out from fumbling the football.
Yeah. Well, it's so to be commended. How many the absence of fumbles that Eric had through his career, and I think it's just so important, Tony. I mean, you see
so much
momentum and turnovers are the whole part of football now. But
I actually saw a running back this past. I think he's the number 1 running back in the country, and I was watching the number 1 high school, St. Thomas Aquinas, go against this school. I don't remember the name of the school, out of South Carolina. Really top-notch school. They were number 2, and this school could have actually upset the number 1 team in the country. But the number 1 running back in the country today, this guy had, I think, maybe 3 to 4 fumbles, and it actually caused their team the game. Wow. And it was just imagine, like, wow. This guy just fumbled more than 1 time than I actually fumbled in high school and college combined. Yeah. So, wow, so ball security is everything. Turnovers, it's hard to win a game with turnovers. Almost impossible.
It sure is, and nobody fumbled less than Eric. It's so pleasant to see. Tony, question?
And Eric, in reading your website, what really touched me was the story that you wrote about your mother and I'd like you to tell it to our viewers.
Well, I tell you, I have a very strong mothers, and I think most young men are very attached to their mothers. I mean, we love that motherhood, and I tell you, I do. And I had a mother that we were very, very, very poor, and my mother, she did everything in her might to really to keep the family really together. If it took her working 2 to 3 jobs, she would do whatever it do to take care of her boys, and she would work sometimes 2 to 3 jobs a day, and she would just try to put a little bit of food on the table. I think we might have had ground beef probably every single night for like 16 years. But my mother, this is a lady that slept on the same couch for nearly 19 years. I mean, my whole life we had the same couch, same furniture, same refrigerator. So we were very poor. But what we did have, I would go into a lot of other people's houses and say, well, you know what, we might be poor, but what we had that was strong, it was so much love in the house to where you really didn't even realize how poor you are. And it really made me look at things the way I am today. That's why I carry myself in such a humbling way, and I do so much to help out so many other single mothers that have kids. I build a lot of houses for single mothers, and we make so many down payments and so many closing costs to help single mothers get in housing. And, we don't just give them regular housing. We give them some of the most beautiful houses you can ever imagine. So I just, I want them to live just as though the way I was living. And if I could take away the pain, I would, because I know what it's like for, a lot of mothers out there that's really struggling. But I'm one of the guys that definitely got your back and understand what it's like to be a single mother,
And that's probably why you didn't fumble much, Errict. You held on to what you had, right, buddy?
Yeah, man. Boy. And she's in my life. She's in my heart every day, man. So I speak to her every day, and and I tell her I love her, man. It's just a blessing to have someone like that, by your side.
It sure is. Again, speaking of the work Errict does, again, Errict Rhett
You bless me, man.
Foundation.com. If people need more information, they can contact me, and I will give them these websites again. And again, Mercedes-Benz-Raffle.com. That will help out the money that will go to this organization. But back to your pro days, Errict. I'm looking at some of the coaches you played under: Sam Weich, Tony Dungy, Mark Shabrota, Billick, Palmer. A lot of these guys are offensive coaches. Maybe a favorite coach you played under?
Out of all my, as far as if I can put college in there too,
why not?
It have to be Steve Spurrier. I mean, I don't think, as far as offensive minds, that was the first coach that I ever had where we literally did not have to worry about nothing. This guy was an offensive genius. The rest of the guys, they were good coaches, but, it's special when you have an offensive genius on your side, because I can tell you, I can remember a game one time, we were losing to Kentucky by 5 points, and it was roughly about 27 seconds left. And we had just enough, maybe 2 plays, maybe 3 plays at the most. And we were like on our 30-yard line, and I promise you, it wasn't even one person even worried or scared in that huddle, because it was just knowing that we have a guy over there who's going to call a play in a minute that's going to set us up where this game is going to be over, and we're going to win the game. And what do you know? 8 seconds left in the clock, and we're still in the huddle. We're on their 40-yard line. We're not. I mean, I don't think there's one person worried like we're going to lose the game, even though they've dropped everybody back. Next thing you know, we win the game with 8 seconds left. Chris Dorn in the middle of the end zone. So it was just like this guy put us in a position, man, where it just seemed like guys were just wide open for a touchdown. But I have so much to thank him for, because he prepared me for that next level, and he's the kind of guy that you wanna work so hard for, because he's putting us in a well position to play at the next level. Like so many coaches these days, when you have a talented athlete, you're winning games, but how are you helping these players get better if you see that they have a possible chance of going on to the next level? Yeah. Besides just winning games, I want to see a lot of players excel to the next level, but instead, these guys really don't get seen, don't get heard of, and they really struggle at the next level because they've not prepared to read defenses. They don't understand blocking schemes and running the football. So it's a little bit different now.
And it sure, and Eric, to me, it seemed like that was Spurrier's calling, because when he did go to the Redskins, maybe he was more of a teacher, more of a preparer than an NFL coach, because obviously.
Well, I tell you, I can tell you almost exactly who's. Spurrier doesn't have a very difficult offense, but Spurrier, he's not gonna put the effort that a lot of coaches put into coaching. These guys stay there from 5 o'clock in the morning and they leave at 11 o'clock at night.
True.
Spurrier's like, we're supposed to have God first, family, and then football. Well, I don't think he's gonna. He's like, well, how am I possibly gonna how do you live a life like that then you still don't win a Super Bowl? I mean, that's a lot of hours to put in. I don't think the dedication work. He would rather go in at 9 and I'd be on the golf course at 5 o'clock.
Hey, take care of business in between, right? That's the thing.
He's like, what are you going to talk about? Oh, you guys, we meet to have another meet. And he's just like, it's a lot more to life, just than doing that. These guys, they just, they put in some hours, man. A lot of people don't know how hard those coaches work, but they put in a lot of hours to be great.
Hard.
You're watching Monday Night Sports Talk. We have a few minutes left with former NFL running back Errict Rhett, who runs the Errict Rhett Foundation. Tony?
And Eric, one thing I'd like to ask you is, if you're counseling today's players, the young players that are coming up, perhaps they came from not much and now they're in a background where there seems to be no limits to anything. What do you tell them, and how do you counsel them?
Well, first of all, there's no substitution for hard work. I mean, you got to know, you got to always, there's no substitution for integrity, your character. You have to understand there's going to be days when you're going to have to learn to persevere. You're going to have to outwork. If you want to be the best, you have to outwork everybody. You have to literally separate yourself, because I wasn't the biggest, the fastest, or the strongest. But there's nobody on God's green earth that can outwork me, because I just will not let it happen. Because you have to have a reason why you want to be successful. A lot of people just want to be successful. What is your reason why you want to be successful? My reason was I had a mother on the couch for 19 years. I had to get my mother up off that couch. That was a big enough reason for me. Why is your reason why you want to be wealthy or be successful in business? It's got to be a reason, but you cannot be willing to jeopardize your integrity, your character, or any of those issues right there. It's gonna push you farther back.
Right.
It's not worth it. But that's really what I tell the youth, and I preach to them, all the time, man. And they want it so easy these days. They're willing to sacrifice anything, whether it's taking drugs or whatever, But there's nothing like working hard. I've never taken no kind of drugs or nothing, smoke, drink, nothing. All I do is work hard. Every time I get on a football field, I score a touchdown. I never walked on a football field, and I never walked off a football field. So it's just pure dedication.
It sure is, Eric, and you mentioned all that, and I coach kids at the middle school level, and a lot of times we come across the days where they're looking for shortcuts. And that's just a recipe for disaster, correct?
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely. Every single day we run the guys that they want the easy way out. But it ain't no kind of easy way out. These days, man, you have guys that are working so hard to try to get there. I live in South Florida, where even our third team running backs, they're going off to big schools now because everybody wants some of that South Florida talent. But when you get there, you realize something that, man, guys are getting to school these days and they realize, hey, man, it's tough up here. You got to really put it together. And I tell them, like, you got to willing to push yourself when you get better is when the coach is not watching. Yeah. That's what separated me from everybody else. When the coaches were gone in there for the day, man, I was back out there catching that football. If I drop one ball, I catch 200. If I fumbled in practice, oh my God, I work on ball handling all night. So it's just, I wanted to literally not just be average. See, we have a lot of people that just want to be ordinary. They want to be average. But see, me, I wanted to be great. I just didn't want to be another back that made it to the NFL, another back that I wanted to be special. I want to be remembered. And that takes hard work and dedication.
And it's true. And one of the slogans, Tony, of the Errict Rhett Foundation, what the mind can conceive, the body will achieve. And it kind of says it all.
And have the living embodiment in this gentleman.
Got about a minute left, Tony. Question?
But yeah, and Errict, I'm curious, was it always football for you, or did you like
No.
other sports?
No, I actually wrestled. I was a wrestler, and I tell you, I have a great story about what the mind can conceive, the body will achieve.
Sure.
I was a pretty good wrestler, and I remember one guy coming up to me, and this guy was 220 pounds, and I was only a 170 pounder, and I ended up wrestling that guy, and I beat him. So I said, well, why don't I just go ahead and stay at this state? This was a national champ. I wouldn't beat him, so I said, why don't I just stay at that weight class right there? I went and stayed at that weight class, but when I went to the state championship meet to wrestle, they said, Errict, I got on the scale. They said, hop back off the scale. They said, Mr. Rhett, we have a problem. The problem is you don't weigh enough. You only weigh 172 pounds. You have to weigh 185 to wrestle 220. Now, our whole wrestling team have adjusted their schedule around me wrestling this weight class right here. Mm-hmm. Do you know that I had to make the ultimate sacrifice? I had to gain 13.5 pounds in 2.5 hours. I did it. I did it. I did it.
Your body
with
achieved it.
I did it in 2.5 hours. I gained 13.5 pounds and won the state championship, the Florida State Championship, 1988. So that was something that what the mind can conceive, the body will achieve.
That's a great story. Again, it's for our folks out there. It's the Errict Rhett Foundation.com, and again, Mercedes-Benz Raffle.com. Go to there, and you can help out this great organization. Tony, just the foundation itself has an after-school learning program. Right. It has mentoring, football camp, which Errict will be at, and scholarship grants, and et cetera, et cetera. We've run out of time, Errict, and first and foremost, again, I will mention the foundation and everything else in a future column, and it's been a pleasure having you on.
It's really been.
Thank you.
We had a ton of things we could still talk to you about. Maybe down the road we can do it again, but we thank you for your kindness tonight, Errict.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.